Bring back the bomb. They know not what they do. Welcome to the War Party, ladies and gentlemen. As you probably guessed from that terrible intro, we are continuing our death march through the discography of Gwar. And if you don't like that, you can blame Tracy. As always, Tracy is here with us. Hello, Tracy. How are you?
I'm good. And you guys are, I will accept the status now of forcing Gwar upon us again.
Likes his Bob last, likes his Gwar. How are you, Ben? What's up with you up in Milwaukee?
Man, it's a beautiful day in Milwaukee. I am enjoying a nice glass of whiskey and looking at this glamour shot photo for the album cover for this album.
They had $1 and they got it done. Gabe, how you doing, man?
Hail and well met. That was just me trying out my War Party greeting. Sorry. We can do that over. I'm doing all right. Just
we're doing this live. They ain't no do-overs.
No, I was joking. I know we're not gonna edit this. I know you don't know how to edit that.
Right. Totally.
He knows how, he just don't want to.
Nuking them sits well with me. Yeah, this is when his, I don't know, I feel like his almost English, really over-the-top vocals have really just reached their pinnacle here.
Yes.
Indeed.
War Party, released on the 26th of October in 2004, the ninth studio album by Gwar on a new label, DRG Entertainment, produced by Gwar and Glenn Robinson, runtime of 38 minutes and 26 seconds. Hallelujah. Dave Brockie as Odorous Urungus on lead vocals, Cordy Smooch as Flatus Maximus on lead guitars and backing vocals, Mike Dirks, ball sax, the Jaws of Death, rhythm guitar, backing vocals, Todd Evans as Beefcake the Mighty, bass guitar, backing vocals, and lead vocals on The Bonus Plan, and the stalwart Brad Roberts as Mac DeGusha on drums and percussion.
Yeah, a little bit more lineup changes, though. Again, the same core of drums, rhythm guitar, and odorous.
But again, a very streamlined.
Oh yeah, lean and mean. This album, you probably know what I'm going to say, but I feel like from literally the first beat, this album is just a all-encompassing auditory assault of awesome.
It is, and they really dug into their thrash fandom on here.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they're real pissed off.
Well, surely I'm not the only one that picked up like, this sounds like Hangar 18. This sounds like I Slayer in here.
I took notes on which Megadeth songs each song on here sounds like, and I'm so fucking here for it. Yeah, no, it opens with like Polaris 2, The Reckoning, and then it gets into
Krostica, Hangar 18.
Yeah, it's either Hangar 18 or Punishment 2, Holy Wars. It's got that same sound to it. And then
I think it's the KO Grandeur.
I think that one sounds like. Wait, we talk about tracks, so we can talk about that.
Haven't you guys ever heard? Plagiarism is the highest form of flattery.
I'm down for it, dude. Plagiarize the fuck out of Megadeth and Slayer.
Maybe they decided we're gonna make a Megadeth tribute album, and then they're like, wait, we'll make it a Gwar album.
Yeah, but it's heavier than Megadeth and a lot scarier. They were so pissed off, just like all of us were. Jesus, this era. I mean, this is the absolute bloody rectum of horror, and. This Ashes of the Wake and Blast Tyrant were like the music of that year. And we don't have to relive this, but man, the hope that we were going to finally dislodge that shit and maybe end the Eternal War, and that did not happen. So this was a year of just extreme disappointment and sadness for some people. For other people, I'm sure it was awesome. For people who did not want gay people to get married or like dead Iraqis, it was a banner fucking year. But for those of us who were not down with that shit, this album was just like a death scream. And I think, even more than the last one, absolutely where we were in 2004. I mean, just destroying everything.
Yeah, you were already in this. We were already in the shit of it at that time.
Oh, bad.
Yeah, I really feel like the last album, sorry, Gabe, to cut you off, was them sharpening the knives, but here they are fully deployed. That was like the tune-up fight before a heavyweight fight,
Yeah, I see that too. What I was going to say is I think that this record, more than the last one, is really honing in on that sound that they were developing. The last record, which is a return to whatever the sound that we're doing at the very beginnings. But at the same time, it is a further departure from their narrative of Gwar and who Gwar is, right? And that for me was also disappointing, but I could kind of accept it more because I was at least more down with some of the more of the tunes on this album than I was on the last. Yeah.
I mean, I would argue it's the most political album since America Must Be Destroyed, just because of what was happening. And you know, I agree with you. This is really where that sound is perfected, to the point that I'm not. I guess we'll get into it when we talk about Beyond Hell, Nails After this. I'm not sure they quite match this. The sound on this album is also amazing, which is interesting because they switch labels, and often that means like a downgrade. But I don't know if this is. I don't know the particulars on if this was the beginning of them using digital production or what was going on, but the sound of this album is amazing.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, if this was an inflection point where the technology had reached an equilibrium status where it didn't really matter,
That's my guess.
so much. But I do agree with Gabe that from the internal narrative that Gwar tells, this isn't as strong or as mythological as the last. But man, they are really leaning into, again, as I said on the review of the last album, where they're like, we're taking the tropes of the ultra right and kind of using it. They lean so much harder into it on this album to a much greater effect. And, you know, it's like, we're going to outright the right. Hoorah. And the amazing thing about that is from this point forward, there are a few times when Otis actually appears on Fox News. So I don't know if they got the fucking joke or not, but because how could they? Because they don't really have a sense of humor. Anyway, so this whole thing of like, we're going to, and we'll get into this when we're talking about songs. They have a song where they combine the cross and the swastika.
Indeed.
For the new political party. And it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, which feels even more prescient now than it did in 2004, but you know.
Yeah,
wow.
that is accurate.
They were reading the tea leaves at the time.
Well, I think it's a reminder that shit was always present.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think, you know, in some ways people are fooling themselves when they think some sort of alt-right came out of nowhere. I think it was always this dangerous. It sure as felt that dangerous then. And, you know, there's almost not one song on here that I'm like, oh, this is awkward, and I cringe so bad I have to fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably almost the first album for which that's the case, and I'm grateful for that. It's just, I can't remember if it was Oderus or Balzac who said in an interview, we are going to go so far to the right that they will be ashamed to have us. Like, they literally were such an open, like, I was looking at some of the merch because I saw this tour, and I remember I was looking it up, just that they made a bunch of like iconography for a political party.
Yep.
It was an election year, and they just like really leaned into that, and it was not a flattering portrayal.
But I don't think they went so far that they would be embarrassed to have them. With a weird thing, which says a lot.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you need to be able to read the satire, and
yeah,
yeah. Not everybody can do that, and not everybody, I guess, is intended to do that. So
sure, from the same party that embraced, you know, "Born in the USA" as a very pro-government statement.
I think they also think that things like war prove that, you know, cultural Bolshevism exists. I think there's an element of, you know, this is the degenerate shit we warned you about. But I saw some of his appearances. He just goes in there and mocks them. It's amazing. And yeah, you're right, totally. They don't have a sense of humor, and so it's just sort of going past them. But that's not what they're about. It's not really their shtick. So
it is not. It is not. Tracy, do you have anything more you would like to add before we move on to tracks?
No, I went and Googled the Acrostica just to kind of see what that looked like. It's like, holy shit.
Oh. Like I said, I saw this tour. They were in rare form and in full effect, and fully embracing their war on terror.
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of give that segue into tracks. I mean, the Reaganator.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't want to steal David's thunder and say all of them. So I really, really, really enjoyed Acrostica, Decoy Grandeur, Bone Snapper, Lost God. Fistful of Thief's pretty good. It's a good closer. Yep.
I also don't want to show David's thunder. But I'm kind of in the same spot with him, which will surprise literally no one. But I will just say that "Bring Back the Bomb" is probably the best opener on any of the albums that we've listened to by them this far. That
Agreed.
is such
It's
a good
amazing,
song. Yeah. I also really enjoy "One with a View," the Regulator. "You Can't Kill Terror," which sounds like it would come from fucking a speech today. Anyway, Fistful of Teeth. Just there's a lot to like on here. It does suffer a little bit from the issues with sameness that Gabe mentioned on the prior album, but I think it's much more dialed in than that album was.
Yeah, I think this album is tighter, to be honest. And so the hooks are hookier, the riffs are riffier, if that makes sense. Obviously, Bring Back the Bomb is great. I also really dug Decay of Grandeur and War Party and Bone Snapper. That's a good run. I like the bonus plan. I don't really understand what it's doing there, but it's cool. And You Can't Kill Terror is amazing. Yeah.
I like every song on this album. They're all amazing. I think the opener, I agree with you. Bring Back the Bomb is the best opener they have, period. The only one that comes close to me is Hail Saddam a Go-Go. About a similar thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Krostica is just a headshot in terms of where we are in 2021. Womb of the View was on a church sign by my apartment when this album came out. It was like this weird, like, the church can hear you. Anyway, like that was the sign. Anyway,
Wow.
I love
Yikes.
War Party. Yeah, yikes indeed, man. Bone Snapper is fucking amazing. The Reaganator should be mandatory at all GOP political events. Bonus plan, it's okay. This is like the 75th Beefcake. The Mighty, he's all right. You Can't Kill Terror is 2004 as it gets. Fistful of Teeth is one of the most haunting, fucked up songs I've ever written. And I think because it has just enough absurdity and is in sort of basically a sci-fi place, that it does some of the shit that songs I hate do, but doesn't make me immediately want to dial it, like change it. If you were catching my drift, I don't know. It's still super fucked up. I mean, it's essentially about their career as, annihilating planets, and
Yeah.
he eats his own child. Anyway, so no, this song is way over the top, but
I wish I had two.
I wish we'd had two. I know. I'm like, Jesus, man. I listened to this with Wes walking around the other day, and this song, he just stared at me. Like, what do you even say? Anyway, from start to finish, this album is unendingly badass, like a dump truck pouring napalm on your face.
Well, I guess it's time to grade.
Let's do it. David, you want to go first? Or
Yeah, it's a 97. So it's an A plus. The only one I like Ragnarok at a 98, just a hair more. Not even because I think Ragnarok's better. Actually, I don't think it is. But I am more nostalgic for that time because it makes me less want to detonate something. Like, Jesus, was this awful? So there's a part of me that, as much as I still love this album. This is probably the Gwar album I listen to most. Yeah, this is a 97 for me.
I will agree with that. Because this is the album that works as an album without all the other Gwarisms. It doesn't need the stage show. It doesn't need the props or the movies or the storyline. This is just a badass thrash album with just a little bit of weird sci-fi kicked in.
I'm going to come in just slightly behind you guys and give it an A at a 95.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent album. I don't think it's a great album for some of the same reasons that I was less sold on Violence Has Arrived. It's still very, very good, and there's still a lot of good songs on it, but I am missing that. I am missing that whimsy. I am missing that storytelling a little bit. So I'm gonna say 89.
It's all right. Next time you listen to it, call me and I'll just play a trumpet and read some Shel Silverstein to you.
Over the phone, yeah.
So you can have that feeling, yeah, like just
story time.
Story time while Apes of Wrath is playing, or
I want the David Pizzo trumpet hotline.
Call me day or night, and I will.
Press 1 for trumpet.
I mean,
that's 3 for Glockenspiel.
Yeah, I mean, ain't got Glockenspiel, Ben. We ain't got no deal.
That's right. The deep magics have returned.
So and speaking of glockenspiels, what the fuck are we doing next, Tracy?
Next, as in honor, since it will be Halloween on the next episode of release, we are doing a 4-piece of Gwar, all at one straight to the dome blast. As you look at Beyond Hell, Lust in Space, Bloody Pit of Horror, and Battle Maximus.
You're
Hope you're
damn
ready
right
for
we
it.
are. That's so much Gwar. It's amazing.
And for those on the YouTube feed, what will the next one be?
The next one would be, if you're only following along on YouTube, is going to be Ben's pick for the month of September, as we look at Infernum in Terra, by a pale horse named Death.
A pale whore.
A
Pale horror. It's a different
That's how
band.
you really feel about it, Chase.
A Pale Horror Named Life is a cover band that
Yeah, that's
does their songs in the manner of like, just sort of moody, atmospheric, ambient
the moody
Denver,
blues.
Prague. I don't know. It's one of those things Tracy's into, Dreadnought or whatever that was.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Well, I am pumped for every one of those things except for that bad cover band.
Indeed. And we thank you again for listening and supporting us here at Thunderdome Metal Reviews.